On which planet did
I
Luke
can tell
Skywalker
you everything
and Ben
about
Solo
this planet
confront the Knights of Ren in
except
the
its
second
motherfucking name.
Buying merch. Your winner, by way of technical knockout.
We have some beautiful renditions.
I am the king. I am the reigning champion. I will always be above you. I am bigger than you. I am wiser than you. I am stronger than you. I am better than you. I am God.
Hi, I'm Jared, the Trivia Loser Jedi.
And I'm Spooter.
And we're here to tell you that we aren't that great at trivia, and I mean we're downright poo-poo at it. Yeah, ever since then I've been dogging Scotty to step back in the ring with me. No questions about Elfrona will be asked, and it'll be a good time. It's April. Now I have this like imaginary rivalry with you in my fucking head, where it's like, I want J-Ro!
Jared, you lost to me in trivia. You're a loser. You're a loser. I will not. You lost to me in trivia.
Jared lost to me in trivia. That charlatan friend, mind you, who has been ducking me and running from me for years now.
Your lust for J-Ro will destroy you.
And you will learn to rue the day you underestimated the power of the Bi Republic.
Is this your king? Is this your king?
Think about the things you applied to content creating and the things that you maybe have held have you hold to a high standard that people also love, and there's that one little dark spot in all of this, and you're like, man, I can't believe that I've gotten this far and just being a part of a bigger community, but there's this one little black spot in this beautiful Monet of a painting, and it's just the fact that I kicked your ass in trivia. Literally nothing makes me happier.
Hello, my friends. It is Hondo, and welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic. You know what to do, and stay profitable.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Congratulations on making it into the program.
Thank you.
Have you been in Coruscant long?
No.
Well, I think you will find it a very lovely city. You must be sure to visit the Sky Dome Botanical Gardens. The Mysis blossoms are in full bloom, and oh my, are they something to see.
Hello there, welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things about the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Jared the Dark Jedi Bachman Stubbs, and joining me this week is Dr. Pershing himself, Connor Chikiti.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here.
And joining us for a limited amount of time, only for not the show you'd think he'd be on for, we have Spencer the Mando Simpson.
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't expecting to hop in the studio backstage and see your name, Connor, as Dr. Pershing, but I definitely was not expecting Jared to clip your voice in.
Oh, that was Scotty.
I will say that was a Scotty J-Ro original that I told him I was stealing. Yep. Real quick, pieces of housekeeping. patrons, Exar Kun versus Mace Windu, as well as Ahsoka Tano versus Qui-Gon Jinn, are both on Patreon now and waiting for you to hop into the fighting pit to watch those very fun episodes of the Versus series. And speaking of the Versus series, next Friday, March 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, tune in for a fun Jedi Council March Madness live stream. It will feature all of the people you see on screen here, as well as our newest member of the team, Kason Breon, and special guests Alden Diaz and Michael McCoy. So be sure to tune in for that. We're going to have a lot of fun running through the gamut. I will not reveal to our regular listeners and viewers who all will be participating in terms of the Jedi involved in that tournament, as our patrons get to have that exclusive little nugget of information. So going over to the Patreon, $5 tier gets you access to a back catalog of nearly 30 bonus episodes of the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. Will be well past 30 by the end of this year. So go check that out. $5 a month gets you access to our Versus catalog, as well as a little sneak preview of this fun little live stream we're putting on. Speaking of fun little things to look forward to in the future that will be live, assuming all things went according to plan. If not, we're still going to plug it anyway. April 10th. We don't have the time locked down yet, but April 10th will be the fateful live rematch between myself and Scotty J-Ro. It will be streamed live, the epic confrontation you've all been waiting for, live on the Bombad
That's
Cast.
a Monday, right?
Yes, it will be a Monday.
Okay. Cool. Probably be in the evening then.
Yeah, definitely on our side. But it will be streamed live April 10th on the Bombad Cast YouTube channel. And then later that week, you will be able to catch it on the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel to watch it on the replay. But it will be broadcasted to you guys live when Scotty and I lock horns and do this dance one more time. All of that said, one last piece of housekeeping that all of you saw coming, because it's part of every episode. We got to give a lovely shout out from our sponsors over at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill by now. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the galaxy with their 2-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes. They have some wonderful garnishes like their pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus, as well as some rim salt, a subscription service, and some adorable tomato Bloody Mary themed merch. So get on over to sundaybloodymary.com/shop. Use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout, and get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time. Spencer, thoughts on the Bad Batch? I'm just going to just front load everything Spencer has to say right up top.
Yeah. The reason for that is that I haven't actually finished Mando for this week. We usually, for those of you at home, we usually record like as soon as I'm done with work on Thursday, and Wednesday is like my busiest day of the week. Like from the time I leave the house until like 10 o'clock at night, I have stuff going on every week. So I was able to squeeze in Bad Batch, and then I got about halfway through Mando. So I can give some like just some halfway through thoughts, but let's start with Bad Batch. Yeah. So I'm kind of conflicted, and here's why. Because half of me is like
conflicted.
I was definitely misusing my influence. Yeah.
Sometimes I do the same. Okay.
But I'm like kind of conflicted because part of me wants them to end the show like
with a happy ending.
Right. They've gone through some stuff. Like it'll be great for the Batch. Like the Bad Batch clearly loves it there. Omega's got that companionship that they were talking about, you know, kids her age to play with, and how like even though as a family unit, as a squad, they are self-sufficient in terms of like their provision, but I mean we're human beings. We were made for community, and so you get this. They take the trip to this island, and they've got people that are welcoming, and it's like it's a refugee island. So it's like we're all here because we needed a place to get away. So like we welcome anybody that's looking to get away as well, and that's like a really cool atmosphere for the island. But it's especially good, I think, for the Bad Batchers who have never known anything except military life and life on the run, and Omega, who has never had like a real community. She's only ever been surrounded by her big brothers and the Kaminoans and people that she doesn't really have any real connection with. So part of me is like, let's just have one more episode where they kind of like settle in. I don't know, maybe part of me is like, let's have it end on like a, this actually makes sense. Like of all the things, that makes a lot of sense. Like Crosshair is out of the picture. Echo has gone off because he didn't think they were doing enough. And the Batchers that are left are like, this is kind of what we need. Like we could really use a fresh start, especially for Omega. And so part of me is like, just do it. Just do it. But I also know that that would be like the most anticlimactic action TV show ending in history. Like there's a lot left in this story to tell, and it makes me kind of sad that they interjected this part in the middle instead of like maybe at the end of season 3 or something, like after they've tied up some, because we just got the double header finale yet, right?
I think we got 2 left.
Yeah, 2 more, I think. Because, it's 16 episodes. I always forget how long this season is.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have next week, and I think the week after that is the 2-part finale.
Okay.
So I might be wrong.
I guess you could do some wrap. I don't know if they announced yet if they're planning to do a 3rd season.
They haven't yet. But
in 3 episodes, you could feasibly do a lot of wrap-up work and have them retire comfortably. But I also know, like, how excited I was that they were bringing this animation style back and these characters back for their own show. I'd love to see a 3rd season out of it. I'd love to see some more of the transition period stuff. But also, I'm like,
I wouldn't worry too much about this being the end. I don't. Obviously, Willow. There was just the announcement that Willow will not be getting a season 2. Which, as much public-facing shit as I've talked about Willow, I know how happy that show has made a lot of people. I know it's been a lot of people's like comfort show. It was a really good chaser for a lot of people while Andor was coming out. That is, kind of dark and bleak as Andor could be. You then had this very fanciful, fantastical magic show in Willow. So, that notwithstanding, I have a hard time imagining Lucasfilm letting Bad Batch season 2 end on like a cliffhanger of any sort. Like we don't know how the season 2 is going to end. I think that this episode, I think Pabu is phenomenal setup for where the end of the season could go. I think it is phenomenal setup for a really beautiful reunion between the Batch and Crosshair. But you never know. And I think that, and I really like the decision they made here, like as somebody who loves comic book, like superhero media, it is a story we have seen time and time and time again of like the hero being given the opportunity to hang it up, like one thinks of Spider-Man No More. One thinks of the Superman story, the classic Superman story, like what do you give to the man who has everything? Where you see these heroes who like they've had so much they've had to go through. They've paved the way. They've done so much to protect the people around them, to serve the people around them, and they're given an opportunity to hang it up, to take the time for themselves.
I mean, we even saw it in Mando season 1. To me, this is
on Sorgan. Yeah, absolutely.
This is a more compelling version of that, in my opinion, that we see in Bad Batch season 2. But yeah, even within Star Wars, we see that very same idea.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that at the same time that the Bad Batch has very naturally been given the opportunity to stop fighting, to stop running, to just hang it up and do their own thing and happily raise Omega and grow old. It is happening basically at the same time that Crosshair's, what we now know was a conscious decision to stay with the Empire, has left him in ruin, and that he is left with not like he's currently, after narrowly surviving the tundra, is now being experimented on and tortured in Mount Tantus. Like it is the perfect example of like the dynamics of what the light side and the dark side will do to you. Even though we're dealing with characters who aren't particularly affected by the force in a direct way, yes, the dark side is quicker and easier, and it is a pathway to power that will be more in the moment satisfying, as we see with Crosshair being able to be immediately thrusted into a position of power very early into the Imperial transition. But the moment these brand new TK troops show up, he's damaged goods. He's getting cycled to the back of the line, just like the Sith do with each one of their, successors. Yeah, by the time the new Sith apprentice has been chosen, the method with which we will dispatch with the current one has already been decided. It is that same cycle of constant betrayal. Whereas, yes, they had the Bad Batch had to make decisions that were the right but hard thing to do, and they've been sticking it out for years now on the run, fighting for what's right, even if it's not like on the kind of scale that Echo would have liked that Rex is up to. They've still been fighting the Empire in their own way. They've still been helping people. They've still been giving people the choice to do better. And where does that lead them? Literal paradise, literally a utopic island that they get to help rebuild and make their new home for the first time, surrounded by the ocean again. It could not be a more beautiful button on their story. And it also, just now that I'm talking about it, thinking about it out loud, it's also another fun example of the classic Star Wars, nature versus like the tech, like the
man versus nature.
Yeah, like the man versus nature, but like the very the very technological evil of the Empire. The Bad Batch gets to literally walk off onto a beachfront sunset where Crosshair is dying in the cold by himself just to barely make it back to an Imperial base to end up on another cold slab of metal. It is a visual doubling down of how these choices will always affect the characters and our heroes and our villains across Star Wars storytelling. And I really love this episode for doing that. And part of me wishes that last week was a double feature. Whenever I fell behind on the Bad Batch, I got to do another double feature the week after, or 2 weeks after the double feature. Like I basically got to do the arc where they're getting their ship back from Yuri Lowenthal when Spider-Man stole their spaceship. And I got to watch that as a double header, and I'm just slowly becoming convinced that the Bad Batch is way more fun to watch when you get to do it in 2-episode clips. Granted, I'm sure most shows are more fun to watch that way, but part of me really wishes I missed last week's episode and I got to watch The Outpost and Pabu in one sitting. To watch that happen for the first time as a viewer, as a fan, to see both of those stories truly for me happen simultaneously. That my only complaint is I watched last week's episode on time. That is my only complaint about this episode. Connor, your Bad Batch thoughts?
I really enjoyed this episode too. The thing that I really liked about it was there was that small moment, I want to say shortly after they got to the island, where Hunter and the mayor were talking about the Empire and how the mayor's if the Empire comes, we'll manage. And I thought that was foreshadowing that the Empire was going to find them. And obviously the Empire is definitely just so omnipresent in this period, but I really liked the choice the writers made of making it a natural disaster, because that's something we don't really see a lot in Star Wars. And so seeing the Bad Batch having to help the townspeople, not through Imperial persecution, but through a natural and oncoming natural disaster, I thought was just really interesting and really unique. I also really like the fact that they cut ties with Sid. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah,
Um,
you keep saying talking your shit. I'm sorry. I'm just
no, you're good. I mean, just all of there's like all the really cool stuff. The fact that like Tech and Fee seem to maybe have a thing, and Wrecker's kind of like a big shipper of that. And the fact that Hunter just feels like just chilled out.
He found peace. He found peace.
And I love that Omega and Liana have like a really cool relationship. And I really hope that like there's more with them because like it's adorable.
Yeah. Well, I do not think it is accidental that we're getting set up for a planet that is not on the Empire's radar at all, like militarily, politically, strategically, zero importance to the Empire. I don't think it's an accident we're getting a planet like on the heels of them, like you said, like cutting ties with Sid, and I love that that's the direction they went in. Like that was one of my big things early into the season. Connor, in the group chat we're in with a bunch of other podcast hosts, that was like my not a big complaint, but like one of my big notes at the end of every episode is just Sid is such a scum fuck.
They're being held back by her.
Every time she opens her mouth, she's undercutting the batch. Like I get that in season 1, she was like kind of how do I put this? I think a lot of people, because of the way she's framed in season 1, interpreted Sid to be like the new Hondo, right?
Yeah.
Who's like, yeah, she's a scumbag, but like she has a heart of gold. She does want to help the batch at the end of the day. Like she doesn't fully have it in her to like consign them to oblivion, in the same way that Hondo puts Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Kanan and Ezra, but everybody Hondo interacts with, he puts them in mortal danger constantly. But he also turns around and helps the younglings. He also, names his next ship after Katuni. He also like there is a legitimate heart of gold to Hondo because he does like make as much of a right decision as he can. And the moment he's done like as much as he can, that's when he cuts and runs whenever he thinks he can like safely leave everybody behind and do his own thing.
He's a zero-sum game in person.
Spencer.
I think to use terms that probably 5% of our audience will even understand, in Galaxy of Heroes, okay, every character is
we were just
into,
talking about this in Discord with a bunch of other people, so I love that you're bringing this up too.
It's a mobile game for Star Wars. Jared and I have been playing it for like 8 years, okay, like pretty much since it came out. Every single character is sorted into light side or dark side, even if they're like kind of ambiguous. But they created a neutral tag specifically for Hondo. And let me put it like this. I don't think Sid gets a neutral tag. I don't even think she gets a light side tag. I think Sid gets a dark side tag.
I think you're right.
Because there are other people who are like kind of on the fence that end up with a dark side tag. I mean, like Boba Fett he's called Boba Fett Sign of Django, but Boba Fett in the book of Boba Fett era,
he's a hero. He's a hero.
He's a hero in the show. He's a dark side character in the game.
Yeah.
Same thing with Fennec Shand. And so you have a lot of people who are like more agreeable and more convincingly good guys or heroes being sorted into the dark side category. And like Hondo gets neutral because he is kind of he's chaotic neutral at its finest. I smell profits. Like that's his thing. But he also
stay profitable, as our favorite introductory clip
right
to say.
Right, as Hondo so kindly introduces our show every week, stay profitable. But like he's kind of selfish, but he also has a moral compass that prevents him from being an absolute scumbag. Whereas with Sid, it's like, in that first season you get that kind of vibe, like she's condescending and she's sarcastic, but like gotta love her. Whereas now it's like, no, she's just a jerk. She's just treating these guys like they're expendable, which she said before. But again, we're like, it's just Sid early on when she says that, but we're like, no, they are absolutely expendable. She is leeching off them like crazy.
And yeah, it is a great point because I guess Star Wars fans with like Star Wars storytelling in general, we're all so prepared for every like low life scumbag to like have a heroic moment where they turn their life around. You know, Han, Lando, Hondo, Grief Karga, like, you know, like even like the Tobias Beckett, even like even though he double crosses Han and Kira and Chewie, like he still has like moments where like you're rooting for Tobias Beckett. He makes choices and you understand why he makes those choices. Like he did not double cross Han and Kira and Chewie out of spite, you know, with malice in his heart. He did it because it was like, this is my only way out. You know, like Tobias made an unfortunate decision. Sid had she had Tech literally risk life and limb during riot racing to clear her debts to save her from Ernie Hudson. And like it feels like barely even a month later, she's like, hey, I know I left you to die on that planet. It's been taking you a while to get back, but you better be dead for how long it's taken you to get back to me.
Yeah.
You know, and that threat she gives, I think, and I didn't want to be right. I think I'm right. I think she's going to be the one to turn him in. I think she is absolutely going to just like, you know, ... Hi, Galactic Empire. It's Sid on Ord Mantell. You're looking for Clone Force 99? Click. You know? I totally think that's where this is. That's probably where this is headed. And continuing like the Bad Batch, like saying no more to Sid, I think it's going to make their inevitable rescue of Crosshair even more meaningful. That they're going to go, even Sid fucked us dirty. Sid did us dirty. Sid did us so profoundly dirty that we finally cut ties with her, even though that was like our only lifeline in the galaxy.
Yeah.
We're not leaving without you because you're our brother, because we love you. Now shut your face, and we will curse you out a full storm when we get on the Marauder, but you're coming with us because we love you. And I think that's going to make that even more powerful when we get there. And I'm very curious to see if the Bad Batch go on a full-fledged rescue mission to save them, or if the Empire comes to Pabu, which would be so sad. You know, like you could absolutely say that like Sid has a tracker on the Marauder. You know, that's her hits, that's her goon squad, you know, wink. You know, that's her, you know, those are her hitters. Those are her hitters. So like, yeah, it makes sense that she'd have a tracking device on them so that, yeah, she goes, yeah, okay, Galactic Empire, I'm going to take in a massive payday for turning you guys in, and I'm going to make it easy. Here are their exact coordinates.
Yeah.
From a planet they are not going to move from an inch where they are right now. The Empire comes to Pabu, they scoop up Clone Force 99, and in the same way that every two-parter, like part one, or not every two-parter, but like a lot of the two-parters with the Bad Batch, part one isn't like super about the Batch. It's kind of set up for like how the Batch gets introduced to the story. What I think they could do is, let's say Pabu is like the Empire comes to Pabu. They ravage the place, they take the Batch, and they take them back to Mount Tantus. Part one of the finale, the summit, is Rex and Echo trying to infiltrate Mount Tantus to rescue the Bad Batch at Crosshair. And then part two is like the actual escape. So that's what I think might be happening. But I love this episode. I love the sense of community. I know I made a joke earlier, like my only complaint is that I didn't get to watch it as a double feature. I will say I wish we had spent more time with Fee before this. You know, I really wish we could have gotten more time seeing Fee actively push back on Sid.
Oh,
you know, like I wish we could have seen Fee kind of.
That would be interesting.
Like I wish we could have seen Fee be the kind of person who looks at Sid and goes, "I used to fuck with you. I like you. You are not who you used to be," and it makes me sad. I would love for that to have been Fee and Sid's dynamic for like maybe an episode or two up to this point. Maybe include her in some of the other adventures, just so you can get the idea that like Sid is like backsliding as a person. And you get the vibe that Fee is like actively trying to bail the Bad Batch out because she's seeing that this relationship is starting to fall apart at the seams. I think that would have been a really cool dynamic. I wish we got more of it. Also, I love Wanda Sykes, so I wouldn't be complaining on that front either. Yeah, I've been rambling. I give the floor to anybody else with more Bad Batch thoughts.
I mean, to sort of go off on that little difference between Fee and Sid, there was that little it was like the tree ornament that they got from the beginning action sequence, which was just like top 10, top 15 action sequence in Star Wars for me. That was so darn good. It was so well shot. I really loved it, especially with the new animation.
Yeah.
But there was that thing where I think it was Tech that said the Tech that plugged in the data, and he was like, "Yeah, this tree has like little to no monetary value." And then Fee says something along the lines of like, treasures are worth more than that, or like, there's more worth to them than that. And so that sort of really underlines the difference between Fee and Sid, because like if Tech said that to Sid would agree. Sid would just throw that thing out like it's trash, but Fee realizes the more sentimental and like almost historical value of these types of artifacts, other than money. So
100%. I could not agree more. Spencer, any last thoughts on Bad Batch before you want to do a little quick Mando for what you have before you leave? I'll ask that question after you're done with your Bad Batch statement. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
Yeah, yeah. I really want to see. I really want to see Crosshair reconciled to the rest of the batch by the end of this season. That's on my wish list. And again, this is just an aesthetic thing, and I totally understand why they did it. But the Bad Batch have got like the coolest sets of armor in the galaxy, and they're like pawning them off piecemeal and replacing them with just like standard mercenary
scoundrel wear.
I don't know.
I hear you.
I love the scoundrel wear that they
I
had in this
really
episode.
like their like stripped back outfits though. I love them equally. Like you're right, their armor rocks. I love like Wrecker's like casual armor because he still has armor on, but there's like some parts that he takes off from his like full kind of outfit.
Listen, if they weren't, if they were like not clones, it would be a rockin' set of outfits. Like they look good. They look good. They just I'm just
you like clones
sad.
wearing clone armor.
Well, I do like clones wearing clone armor, but also they've got the coolest clone armor in like all. I mean, the only clone armor that I think looks cooler is ARC Trooper armor. Like that's it. It's like ARC Trooper armor at the very top, and then Tech and Crosshair and everybody else in the Bad Batch. Like they got really, really cool, unique armor, and I just like, it makes me. I'm just personally sad that we don't get to see more of it because it's so cool. But that's
totally
just that's an aesthetic preference. But on my wish list, I want to see. Excuse me. I want to see Crosshair reconciled to the Bad Batch. I think Mount Tannis could be really cool. If they can pull all that off and settle down permanently in Pabu by the end of the season, I'll consider it an absolute win. But if they set it up for another season of transitional stuff, I'm good for that too. Speaking of transitional stuff, we get to see transitional stuff of a different kind in Mando this week as the old
sensational.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm the king of transitions. We get to see the old Imperials get reassimilated into New Republic society with the amnesty program, which I think on the whole is really cool. I certainly was not expecting this. Like
The
whenever
second I
we
read that description, I was like, this is gonna go horribly wrong.
whenever we
call
left
Spencer.
off,
I
whenever we
just thought
left off,
immediately of World War One.
whenever when we left off in the Mines of Mandalore at the end of last week's episode, I thought we were gonna stay there for a hot minute, but we get like this interesting retributional, low altitude space battle, which was awesome, by the way. And you get to see, like I said, like it's clear to me that like whether or not, because they say like what like he was, something happened to him on the way to his tribunal. So
the rumor is that Moff Gideon got away. The rumor.
Yeah, so the rumor is he got away. So whether he is actually out there hopping around the galaxy someplace, or whether he's pulling the strings from behind bars, it doesn't matter. Like, I just, like, in my gut, I feel that those bombers, those fighters were sent by Gideon. And
that would be cool.
Is that because he's
It's
like one of the only known
like
Imperial
Giancarlo Esposito type beat? That would be a very just Giancarlo thing to do, like pull the strings from behind bars.
Yeah, and could it be that Moff Gideon is like really one of the only Imperial remnant warlords banging around out there? I mean, sure, but it's like this is Gideon revenge bombing Kalevala.
Oh yeah, that was personal. That was to fuck with Bo.
And it's such like a roller coaster because of all the time. Like, why didn't it could have happened a lot sooner? So the fact that it's happening now is kind of interesting, and I'm curious if there's a reason for that, or if it's just for thematic reasons. We need to take, like, we need to kick the action up a notch at the end of, or at the beginning of this episode, because the rest of the episode is going to be, or like, because at the last episode there was some action, but it was like mid-level action, and for the first half at least, because I'm only like halfway through, for the first half of this week's episode at least, it's pretty slow. Like, it's interesting, but there's no action. So I wonder if it was like for thematic reasons they chose to throw that in there just to give us something to hang on to while they're like, and we'll be right back to the interesting action with the Mandalorian after this less action oriented but equally interesting.
Yeah,
we hope
after
you
a
pay
political
attention.
thriller on Coruscant.
Yeah, so I will tell you guys exactly where I had to stop last night to go to bed. They were on the little train going to the junkyards to get his lab, and I'm gonna close my eyes because I don't want to see any visual reactions from any of y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
I will full screen you, so you don't even have to close your eyes.
Yeah, you can. Okay.
Because
yeah,
you can't
there
see
you go.
you
There you go.
because you can't see us. I can see everybody, but you can't see us.
Can't see any of y'all. So, what is her name? The short-haired gal.
I keep just calling her Katie O'Brien, and I need to actually know that character's
Elia
name.
Kane.
Elia Kane, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so as cute and adorable as like the whole, like, it's all right, man, you're one of us now. Like, we're gonna do some mild hazing, but we're also gonna make you feel at home. Like, as endearing as that is, and as much as I want to believe that's true, she is an absolute plant. Like, 100% she is a plant. She is egging him on so bad. She is, once again, or if she ever wasn't, kind of I'll circle back to that in a second. If she ever was not a Moff Gideon plant, or an agent of his, like, she definitely is his again, because it's so clear that Gideon wants his research to continue. It's so clear that somebody at least is like, this guy cannot stop working. He was on the brink of exactly what we wanted him to do. So we're going to send what's her name to go and kind of like play buddy with him and stoke his rebellious nature to like break the rules and it's all for the Republic, right? It's all for the New Republic. It's to benefit the New Republic. And that, combined with the very obviously growing sense of discontentment Pershing has with the New Republic in his little therapy sessions, it's like she is egging him on so hard that she is 100% a Gideon agent, or whoever is pulling the strings, looking probably ultimately a Palpatine agent, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
To keep
Even if Gideon doesn't know that's what he's doing, which again, it just adds. I talk about this like every week that like Palpatine's plot comes up, the cosmic horror, you know, like just the longer you think about it, the more unsettled I get with like every like hearing Persian be like, you know, like we're gonna like do this like recombinant DNA with all these different subjects, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, you mean like selecting for guaranteed force sensitivity,
or selecting certain genetic, what do they call them? Not trigger, genetic markers. Is that it? Looking for certain sequences of genetic markers to kind of like not just guarantee force sensitive clones, but to make like a super force clone, like like a clone power, like take Sidious's best qualities and like I'm sure they've got harvested Anakin Skywalker DNA around there
we know
someplace.
they have Luke's hand.
We know they have Luke's hand. So like just create this absolutely perfect cocktail of force DNA into one human being, if it is possible. Because you might end up with like a Frankenstein's monster. If you put all of those like the ideal genomes together, it might not be compatible.
It might be why Sidious's clone we see at the beginning of Trust looks like a fucking corpse.
Yes. And it also would fit in with how Pershing is like, we were so close. Like we were so close to getting it right, where like we could substitute these DNA sequences to make a viable embryo for growth in a clone chamber, but we didn't get there. Like it seems so simple to us, but there's a billion things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
Like anybody like Dolly the sheep, like that's like the only successful cloning effort in history. And biology people are like, human cloning is not theoretically possible. Like it's not just that it's not practically possible, it's just like there's no way that it could work for a human the same way, because humans are such a immensely more genetically complex creature.
Yeah.
Like it's so much easier to get a human being wrong if you start from scratch, because like, not to get all philosophical on you, like we have something that no other creature in all of planet Earth has intellectually, like in our ability to reason and to experience emotions on a level greater than like the apes and the dog, like other creatures that have, like, we just are so much more intellectually and emotionally complex that if you like get one single genetic pairing wrong, then it could just totally destroy the whole thing. And you could end up, like you said, like Sidious looking corpse like, or could end up with a Frankenstein's monster that seems like a perfect specimen on your data pad, but it turns out to just be like either unviable in the first place, or it turns out to be like some horrific creation like a Snoke. So I mean, there's very clearly it's like that meme with like the puppet master within the puppet master within the puppet, right?
Yeah.
Right, you know.
So or even like that meme of like the people in the church, or like everybody has a handgun behind them, and then there's the guy like on top of where the choir would be with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
So we've got poor Dr. Pershing. He's you know, he up here like this, and then what's her name, Connor?
Elia Kane.
Thank you. And then you've got Elia Kane.
I almost just said Katie O'Brien too.
That's what I'm saying. So,
I feel better.
So you got Pershing doing his little puppet dance, and then like there's Elia Kane doing her but little do we realize that Moff Gideon is up there like pulling the strings to make Elia Kane do her thing, and little even does he realize probably that Palpatine is up there like pulling Moff Gideon's strings, pulling Katie O'Brien's strings, pulling Dr. Pershing's strings. So it's just like, it's super multi-level. It's levels to it. You and I know.
Be humble. Well, that's another thing. Like with, and let you go here in a sec, Spencer. Like another like element to this, I think is in. Connor, you've read Shadow of the Sith, right?
I haven't finished it yet. I don't even know how far I am into it.
Well, this isn't spoilery because this is super close to the beginning. I saw somebody point out this is around the same time that Dathan got sprung from Exegol. So like
remember seeing
even
that.
the very idea of like, we like part of his research is like making sure certain traits occur. Of course it is. Because you somehow cloned the most powerful Sith Lord the galaxy's ever seen and got the Star Wars equivalent of a squib.
Yeah.
Who like had the recessive traits for Force sensitivity, obviously, because Rey, and all of the Force potential there, but like it's still fucked up. So
right, it's like clearly even in the 11th hour they still cannot nail the whole Force sensitive cloning thing, which is so interesting to me. It's so interesting that like in our world it's like you can clone Dolly the sheep, but it's a whole other beast. Like you can't quite crack the human genome when it comes to cloning, where it's like in Star Wars everything is bigger and everything is grander and everything is more scientific, but you still have the same problems you have in real
you can
world
clone
America.
an average Joe, you cannot
Right.
clone a Jedi.
Right.
Successfully, at least.
Right. It's just how often do we see that in Star Wars though? Like these are the exact same problems we have, only they're more complex, or they're like everything is elevated in the realm of scientific possibility.
Absolutely love it. All right, well, Spencer, we're going to let you go because we're going to get into some spoiler talk here that will absolutely run afoul of everything you have not seen yet. But yeah, you want to do your plugs before we throw you out of here?
Yes, I am going to do my plugs. Actually, this is a groundbreaking moment. Not really. It's really not groundbreaking, but I'm it's just breaking the mold. So I've decided I never use my cosplay account on Instagram, so I'm just going to delete it. So you can find me on Instagram at SpenceMan49. I do have a private account, and so if I don't know you, there's a good chance that I won't let you follow me. But you can still find me there. Like I'm still there. You can window shop.
He'll let you get to the gate, but he won't open it.
Right? Yeah. You can like look through the glass
for about a year and a half now to convince Spencer to just use his Instagram account. I was like, I don't know why you have it. Well, like it's obviously your decision, and I'm not going to be like, oh, stop it. But it's always been funny to me that it's like it's that one. I don't know. It's
here's my rationale. Like I'm a very open person. Like if you meet me on the street, I'll tell you anything.
Yeah.
But like online, I still have like a cards close to my chest kind of thing, because there's some strange people out there, and every day people are
I'm kind of the same way too.
DMing me with random promos and their OnlyFans pages and stuff. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need those lighting up my DMs. Those can go directly into the trash bin that is, you have a private account and we're not going to let anything that you don't follow through. So I sit comfortably behind that defensive wall. However, whenever we started, I wanted there to be a place where like if people wanted to follow me, like I could have a public account that was more like cosplay oriented. But given the fact that I like never check it and never log on anyway, and it occurred to me when Jared said earlier that he sent me the link for the studio page today in Instagram, I'm like, dude, I don't see it. And he's like, it's in your cosplay account. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
that's why that's why I never would have made it into the studio, because I never look at that anyway. So
a little fun peek behind the curtain. Spencer prefers that I send him the studio link on Facebook Messenger, but I'm not logged into Facebook on this computer here. So every time I send the link to Spencer on Facebook, I DM it to myself on Twitter. And then I go onto my phone and then I copy and paste it and then I send it to Spencer. So I was like, I'm just gonna cut out the middleman, and I was like, I'll just go through Instagram. He was there. He was like right up top from tagging him for last week's show. So I sent it, and then I got the message. He was like, "Are you sure you sent it on Instagram?" And I went, "Oh my god, how long has it been since he's logged into that account?"
Yeah. Also, I've never logged into that account on my computer before.
Oh,
so I was like scrambling to guess the passwords. So anyway,
that's my B. I should have thought of that.
So just a small housekeeping bit. I am gonna delete my cosplay account. So you can peek through the window at my life and read my bio. And if you're an actual friend of mine, of course I'll let you follow me. But yeah, SpenceMan49, and yeah, I'm gonna probably finish Mando right now. So
Cool.
Nice.
Enjoy that. I will say real quick before Spencer leaves, I do want to say this in front of him. Did anybody else catch the March of the Resistance needle drop?
I think I caught like a second of it, but like
I did.
I need to
definitely did.
rewatch that part.
It was at the mountain peak, right?
Yeah, when they're at the mountain
Yeah.
peak and they're having their like luminescent ice cream. I love it. And the thing that I love so much about it is that this is like the third or fourth time we've gotten like diegetic Star Wars music. Like, so diegetic and non-diegetic music. Non-diegetic music is Duel of the Fates. Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul do not hear the epic fucking music playing while they're duking it out in the Theed Palace.
Yeah.
However, there is diegetic music in the Mos Eisley Cantina. Whenever Luke, Obi-Wan, and the droids go into the cantina, they do hear Figrin Dan and the modal nodes. They're hearing that. So that's diegetic music. Non-diegetic music is like it's for the audience to have fun with. So it's I love that like we've got the Imperial March that is like played during like Empire Day and Rebels and in Solo. And I love hearing that March of the Resistance is basically like the New Republic national anthem.
Yeah,
is kind of the vibe I got.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or maybe their version of like America the Beautiful. Like maybe it's not the anthem, but it's like anthem adjacent.
Yeah, you know what? My
it just made me super
were?
happy.
You know what my exact thoughts were when I heard that?
What?
I was like, "You guys know that song too?" I was like, it's like you guys have that in your rotation? No way!
Yeah.
I thought that was just for us.
Exactly. I love that. It made me very happy. Anyway, that was the last thing I had that is not super spoilery for Spencer. So everybody say goodbye, Spencer. You're very handsome in the comments as I there he goes.
Let me know when he's like
oh, he's gone. I kicked him.
Okay.
God damn, he got it right.
He was not
Now that Spencer's gone, wait up, where is the clip?
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
It's just on point.
100%. Well, part of me was going to be like, well, what do you mean a plant? Do you think she's a narc for the New Republic? Which is like, that's the only thing he's missing, is that he doesn't realize that she's both. He doesn't realize that she's both like a narc for the New Republic and also a double agent for Gideon, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So my big thing with you say what you're going to say because I'm going to ramble for a little bit.
No, I just was like when I saw the little blurb that they always have before the episodes, like this will happen in this episode. So when it was like former Imperials are granted amnesty or whatever it is through the New Republic, the first thing I thought was, oh, this is not going to be good. This is exactly like what happened in the aftermath of World War I and going into World War II in terms, because it's like we just didn't give a shit. We didn't really, punish Germany hard enough, and look what happened. And so that. But then, like, once the episode started, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Well, I wonder where it's going. But, like, always in the back of my mind, just always there, I was like, Katie O'Brien's up to something. I either thought it was going to be Katie O'Brien or myself, because I don't know what I'm up to half the time. And so, like, I was like,
you threw me off that time. You threw me off. I didn't know what you meant for a second.
I was like, who's the really like shady, sly person that's still kind of in with the Imperial remnant? And so when I kind of knew, like, once you hear that noise in the scuttled Star Destroyer, which, like, seeing a Star Star Destroyers are like one of my favorite things in Star Wars. It's like, and I just don't really talk about it all that much. So like anytime any mission involves like sneaking onto a Star Destroyer or like going into one, especially empty, it's like, oh hell yeah, this is great. Like how like the Legends book Death Troopers, like a decent amount of that book is spent on a just Star Destroyer floating in space. But when Dr. Persian was gathering up all his stuff and there's like a noise out there. And he's like, okay, what's that noise? And she's like, oh, it's just the ship settling. I was like, I don't know about that one, Chief. It's kind of suspicious right there. I'm kind of like a little tense right now. And so when they started when like they stopped before they started running, I was like, is she gonna sell them out right here and right now? Because I was expecting that. And so when it didn't happen, I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And then like obviously he gets, captured and mind flailed. And I was like, God damn it. This is just I just knew the amnesty thing was just gonna be another avenue that the New Republicans were gonna take to kind of punish Imperials, but not really. And the Imperials would take advantage of it and realize, oh, we can still work in the shadows and not really and still be like really secretive about it and not get caught by it. And I'm just like, this is terrible. But also it makes sense because again, all of this really started with the Aftermath books in 2015. That's when they released, right? I think so.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like 2015.
Yeah. There was the Road to the Force Awakens. Yes, of course it was.
So, this was all sort of started with those books before Force Awakens, and now we're just getting way more stuff about just how. I'm trying to think of the right word. Not chill the New Republic is. That's not the right word, but I don't know why that's the one word that's coming to me. How just sort of lax they are about really punishing the Empire and really
so
and they're punishing them in the wrong ways because it's like, oh yeah, we're destroying all these data cards.
So here's my thing, and I've been trying to figure out how I feel about this episode. I was talking another plug that I forgot to do up top. We filmed the Ionized Bastards season finale last night, so expect that very soon. I cried at the end. I'll let that be the only teaser for what happens. A good chill fell over the room. I don't know if I didn't like what they did in this episode or if it just made me uncomfortable. Does that make sense?
No, I know what you mean. It's like, do you not? It's like I don't know if I don't like it on a sort of analytical writing perspective, or if it's this stuff that was actually presented was really well presented and really good. It was just it actually made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
exactly. I kind of get that because it's
I don't know if they succeeded in the goal of making me uncomfy or if I didn't like it. And I've been struggling with that since I was up at 3 in the goddamn morning to watch this show like I always do because I love my little baby. I was watching and I was like, the moment I got immediately uncomfortable and really started to question the create again. I don't know if it's the creative decision didn't work for me or if it worked and I'm uncomfortable because of it. And I've been going back and forth between them. The New Republic treating the defected Imperials with numbers. It's all LT-52 or whatever the fuck they call Pershing.
G68, E40 or whatever the fuck,
Did you just pull E40 out of your ass?
Yeah.
Did you know that's a very famous West Coast rapper?
That's insane.
That's your homework, everybody. Go listen to some E40 later tonight.
Oh my god, I can't. That's amazing. Yeah, I just pulled that out of my ass.
That was really funny. I was like, I know Connor has never listened to E40 in his life. That's funny as hell. But anyway,
that's getting clipped.
There's a clip of this E40 playing under it. But anyway, I like the moment they started doing the number thing, I was like, I don't like this. This isn't y'all. And it felt both sidesy to me. It felt, it felt very, because like every single scoundrel and morally neutral character in Star Wars, DJ in the Last Jedi being a perfect example. It's all the same to us. It's all the same to us. It's all the same to the little guy. Empire, Republic.
Live free, don't join.
Yeah. And it is always this cynical view that ideologically and morally there is no difference between the old Republic, the Confederacy of Independent Star Systems, the Galactic Empire, or the New Republic. That all of those governing bodies have nothing different from each other except for aesthetic. And it was really, for me, demoralizing to see that. To see them using this very dehumanizing way of identifying these people when the whole point of them being referred to by numbers was to dehumanize them by the Empire, both so that they felt less human in combat and so that the people in charge could look at them as a resource, as a number on a page. So it was really just disheartening, I guess, is the word I can use here. I see that being used by who are ostensibly the good guys. But then I think about the real world, and I kind of have to have a moment where it's like, yeah, real world politics, there's not a whole lot of daylight in the grand scheme of things between a Republican and a Democrat. Sure, you have your MTGs and whoever who are, that shit crazy or whatever, and you have, some cooler people within the Democratic Party. But at the end of the day, all of them could agree that you can't do too much in the way of housing. You can't do too much in the way of healthcare. God forbid either party take a truly anti-war stance. Domestic policy, Republicans and Democrats will go at each other's throats forever. Their foreign policy, typically pretty unilateral in the direction of war hawking. So there's a part of me that goes, okay, but that's how politics works in the real world. That a lot of the differences that the parties put on for each other are, for the most part, symbolic at best.
Yeah.
So then I had to.
It's theater.
It's the political theater. So that had to sit with me for a little bit, and then we get to the therapy sessions that there's a reason why Spencer scoffed at it, because it's not a fucking therapy session. It's a droid, and
it's an interrogation almost.
You're right. It feels like an interrogation. That droid, and again, like there's so many like feeling compassionate droid characters, but that droid is not at no point obviously being organic, and that's the point that they're trying to make. But like, put him in a room with a person who could be like, hey, how are you handling like transitioning out of being like an Imperial scientist, working with, one of the highest ranked Imperial survivors? He never gets that. He gets, hey, do you hate the New Republic yet?
Do you have any resentment towards the New Republic government and its representatives, or whatever the line was?
Yeah, and it's like,
and he's just like, no.
What'd he say? I need you to gather yourself.
Fucking say it now. Stop dying laughing. Give me a second.
I'm trying to get like an HD clip of Connor going, no.
I'll let you know.
Anyway, but yeah, like he's just getting interrogated. I gave him the giggles. He's just getting interrogated in this episode, and it's so crass. And it's just, and I know that part of the downfall of the wait, we got him. He's ready.
No, I'm not.
Do not have that dog in him.
No, go ahead. I'll wait.
Yeah. But it's
downfall of the New Republic.
Is that they shit the bed at every point? The New Republic should have zigged. They zagged.
Yeah.
They go all the way in on demilitarization, which on paper wouldn't have been a bad thing. It's just that, they aren't paying close enough attention to see that the Empire is just licking its wounds. It's not dead. It's not gone. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Jakku was great. Moff Gideon's still out there.
Yeah. It's like I said, if there's like a whole litany of like female Star Wars characters that I've said that if they like teamed up, the Empire would be like toast. And I think it was like Jin, Leia, and Hera. Like if those three teamed up, and even Iden post Vardos, Empire's gone. Just no. There's no way.
Yeah, sure, but even then, like it's just it is. What you're saying is not incorrect.
Red tape.
The issue is the people who are going to stand in the way, the people who want to go back to normal and refuse to acknowledge, much like in the real world, the world got chin checked by the pandemic. We aren't going back to normal. We have a new normal. And that is the case in the wake of the Empire's fall. We are not going to go back to the days before the Naboo crisis. It's not going to fucking happen. And so much of Republic leadership refuses to acknowledge that and refuses to engage with the fact that they can't just go back to normal. So they try to demilitarize, and they call Leia a war hawk when she tries to call out that the First Order is a very real military, has a very real military apparatus and wants to unseat the New Republic. And I recognize that the way that they're treating the Imperial the transition out of the Empire, which is really fun, that as Spencer kind of alluded with, Bad Batch and Mando, we're getting, we have the Imperial, the transition from Republic to Empire in one show, and then after that we get to watch the show that's transitioning in the other direction. But it's just so, how did they get it this fucking wrong? Like the number stuff, the way that it's, the way that his, like, Pershing's boss in the office basically hits him with the Office Space version of good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
All the way up to the Mind Flayer. Like, good God. How did you guys fuck this up this bad? So part of me gets very disheartened because I feel like the episode may have accidentally agreed with DJ in The Last Jedi. But then another part of me recognizes that this is a part of the systemic failure of the New Republic.
Yeah.
That if they had treated these people, if they had treated if they had treated the people who were capable of turning their back on the Empire, of risking life and limb to defect and do the right thing, if they had actually treated them like people, like human beings, things could have gone differently.
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold, because it's like if you do that, and if you also you don't demilitarize and you actually have a pretty good military presence, and you actually try to actively, forcefully root out these Imperial remnants all over across the galaxy, First Order probably doesn't exist.
I mean, sure. I mean, but this is always going to be the problem with speculation like that, is that, much like, in my opinion, the Clone Wars and Order 66, from the moment that Qui-Gon, from the moment that the Clone Army is commissioned, there's no real preventing Order 66. There is levels of how bad it will get. And I think where we are now canonically with the Age of Resistance into the First Order, where we are now is the acceptance that there is no stopping the rise of the First Order. It's just a matter of how bad is it going to be. Like even if, you get in the way of every single, like, legitimate inroad the First Order had, you gotta stop Starkiller Base, and you have to confront the Final Order. Like, those two things are always going to be in the way. So unless over the course of them like truly rooting out the Imperial Remnant, they go, holy God, they turned Ilum into like the Death Star on like crack steroids, like steroid crack, like unless they're able to do that, and then in the process of doing that go, oh holy shit, there's a secret planet in the unknown regions where the Sith have always hidden all their secrets and Palpatine is alive, and they do that by the time Mando starts, maybe you do prevent it. But even then, all you've done is face the First Order early. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that. That's how I interpret it. So there is no way to get away from it. There's no way to get out of it. We're just going to watch the New Republic, much like the Old Republic, make zig every time they should have zagged.
Although that does bring up the whole Palpatine thing.
Trillions.
Agreed. Because it's like you confront them early, but it's like even if you confront them early, like what happens later on, sort of thing. But no, your whole thing about like Palpatine and Exegol and everything, that just gave me a really kind of funny scenario where it's like, what if like some random rebel group discovers Exegol and they just do a Black Ops mission, just a hit on this place. They just take out Palpatine's clone body. just pew! And then they just discover like this whole fleet of Star Destroyers. And they're like, this is a problem. And just like how to, probably that I don't know what they would do. Because I feel like with Palpatine's body, they would probably just like destroy all this cloning apparatus, and it's like, all right, cool, we're good there. Like that seems kind of straightforward. But then like, what do you do? What do you do with the whole freaking fleet of Star Destroyers with Death Star technology on their lower cannons? Like, that's kind of hard. I feel like the New Republic. I feel like the New Republic would be like, "Hey, that's pretty good technology. We should use it." Like, there's someone.
Would they? Because they're not even keeping data cards.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. In this alternate universe, maybe. But yeah.
And here's the other thing that I get just a little weirded out with, and follow me here. The Galactic Empire being so heavily inspired by Nazi Germany. The episode having this weird relationship with how much medical research should have been salvaged also makes me a little uncomfortable. Does that make sense? Like, there's a part of me that gets a little like, that's a little like getting hung up on the real world symmetry and poetry there. Like, because the Galactic Empire takes so many notes from Nazi Germany, the act of going, well, all the medical research the Nazis did wasn't bad, even though most of that medical research was a byproduct of the fucking Holocaust. There's another part of me there that gets a little weirded out, and that like, I'm sure there's lots of like technology and research that the Empire developed that could be used for better. The bottom of that list is cloning.
Yeah.
There are, like, Pershing even says it, there are way too many ethical questions about cloning. Sure, like these medical applications, absolutely, but like, how long until it's used militarily again? Like, the cloning situation is really hairy, and I understand that Pershing basically dedicated his life to it, but it also makes me really uncomfortable how like steadfast he is on like, no, like this research needs to continue. And it is not lost on me.
And it's framed in such a way that it seems good.
It's framed in an obsessive way, like I can't tell. For me, this is just my interpretation. I can't tell if Pershing is truly believes how good for the New Republic his research will be, or if he just doesn't want to lose his life's work, you know?
I feel like it's a combo of both, but I feel
yeah,
like
and
it's more the first. That's what I got out from
so
the
you
episode.
think his heart is fully in the right place?
I think it's
Or
I don't want to say
mostly,
fully, but yeah, mostly in the right place.
You can't separate somebody's pride from that kind of thing. Obviously, it's going to be a combination of the two.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far the pendulum goes in either way. I walked away from this episode with a lot more questions than I have answers, and it's not a bad thing by a long shot. I love how like ambiguous a lot of the stuff in this episode is, but there's just parts of it that I'm like, what's the angle, man? Anyway, all of that said, to the namesake of the show, the Mandalorian stuff, equally ambiguous.
Yep. Definitely went in a direction I did not think it would go.
And Connor, you weren't able to be on when we talked about the season premiere. One of my favorite things about this episode and the season premiere is how double meaning the episode title is. For example, in the season premiere, everybody is an apostate. Din is an apostate from the Children of the Watch, obviously. Bo-Katan is also viewed as this, as this failed like arch figure in Mandalorian culture. So she's viewed as an apostate. And as far as Pirate King Gorian Shard, who I can't wait to see again, Grief Karga is an apostate because he's turned his back on his like criminal underworld.
Dude, that pirate scene on Navarro was amazing because it's like fantastic. It's so Star Wars animation.
It truly is. And I can't wait to get more of it. But like all of them were apostates in their own way. I love how everybody here is the convert. Obviously, what's Kitty O'Brien's name again?
Elia Kane.
Elia Kane is this convert, like this wolf in sheep's clothing. The whole New Republic is convinced that she's this like, this basically this cop, who's just narking on every single one of these defectors who has like as a rogue Imperial thought. Pershing is trying his best to truly convert to the New Republic, to do what he thinks is right for the New Republic. His obsessions and his ego be damned. But Bo-Katan, I noticed, like, when they got on her ship, she had not taken off her helmet yet.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to the first episode, she does not fly to Mandalore with her helmet on. She does not pilot with a helmet on. And I am really fascinated by the fact that, like, her weird experience with the Mythosaur pilled her. But, like, she's also cagey about it because she doesn't bring up the Mythosaur. She doesn't tell Din. She doesn't bring up the armorer. And she's, like, staring at the Mythosaur on the wall, like, all longingly and, like, conflictedly. So, I want to know so badly where Bo-Katan's head at is right now.
Yeah.
We talked last week, like, did she have this, like, religious experience where she gets it again now? Or does that only go a certain amount of steps in one direction? I am super fascinated by how ambiguous all of the Mandalore stuff is. And I do not, and again, I couldn't bring this up while Spencer was here, but cults have a tendency of roping people in when they are at their most vulnerable. So Bo-Katan being by herself, having nobody, and now her last connection to her bloodline, to her family, her castle in Kalevala, gone. So she is so perfectly poised to kind of get sucked into the Children of the Watch. And again, I'm glad, pardon my hiccups, that so far it seems as though the show has not come down on the side of cults are good sometimes.
Yeah, I would hate that.
Because the Children of the Watch are still framed so creepily. and they're still framed like this very, like for what they are. So very, very, very. Again, this was a great episode. I'm very conflicted on parts of it, but conflicted in a good way. Conflicted in the way that I like to be.
I definitely did find it interesting that they accepted her. Like, and the fact that she was cool with it. I thought she would like push back and be like,
or maybe she wants to get on the inside. Maybe Bo-Katan's playing a long con, man.
Honestly, that's what I was kind of thinking, because like when they showed the Mythosaur and then they showed her back, like again, the thing that I really like about The Mandalorian in its directing is the fact that they're able to really showcase like what the person is thinking and like feeling, even if you don't see their face.
Yeah.
They do it expertly with Din Djarin. And like, to me, at least with Bo-Katan, it kind of felt like she was kind of like, all right, y'all are kind of fucking crazy, but I'm here for the ride. I'm going to see what I can get out of here. Like, that's the way that's my read of it. Like, she doesn't want to be there, but like now that she is, it's kind of like, all right, let's see what we got here.
Yeah. Like I said, phenomenal episode. It was really good. It was very affecting. I don't know if this I don't know if what Scotty said is true. I never know if what Scotty said is true. I don't know how Scotty knows that. I don't know if we know what episodes are directed by whom. But apparently next week is Dave Filoni. Which,
interesting.
Buckle up. This might be our Order 66 week. If at all. If it is Order 66 at all, which is also TBD.
Yep.
But I think that is all we have for you guys this week. Again, just some quick housekeeping. Next week, March 24th, Friday, 7 p.m., Jedi Council March Madness live stream. Doing a little, like I said, it's going to be a relaxed fit for a Star Wars versus series episode for us. Spencer and I, we're not going to take the matchups any less seriously, but we are going to have a little bit more fun with it. So tune in 7 p.m. next week. It's going to be a full panel. It is going to be Kaysen. It is going to be Connor. It is going to be Spencer. It is going to be me, and it is going to be Alden Diaz and Michael McCoy. Stay tuned for that. Very excited for this. Speaking of Alden and Michael, like I said, by the time you guys are seeing this, Ionized Bastards season finale will probably be out. So if you haven't seen Ionized Bastards yet, go back, go watch it. Every episode's like an hour, 15 hour and a half long. The season finale is like over 2 hours long. So it's a big, chunky boy of an episode. So go check that out. It is my favorite project I've gotten to work on between last year and this year. Thanks to my girlfriend Taylor, she got me really into Dimension 20, the Dungeons and Dragons live play show. And from there, I really, really wanted to get involved with tabletop. And at the same time, my interest had been piqued there. Michael pitched to me the idea of doing a Star Wars RPG show. I bit immediately, and the rest is there. Speaking of projects we're very excited about, I'm going to be running it again at the end of the episode. Epic Confrontations, the Star Wars trivia put on by our good friend Eli over at Star Wars in a Galaxy, also written by this guy as well. Scotty J-Ro and I, we will be confronting each other in the fated rematch that has been almost 2 years in the making now, where myself and my
trusted patron guiding me to victory will face off against the charlatan known as Scotty J-Ro.
Thank you for taking it away from me. I appreciate it. But yeah, anyway, if you want context for that, go watch Epic Confrontations, because I am currently canonically haunted by Cookie Cop. But that's all the housekeeping on my end.
Help him.
But yeah, Connor, where can the lovely people find you and what you do, buddy?
Twitter at DepaBanana. That's right. I can never get this. Yeah, right down there, under my name. I almost said behind my name. I don't know. Instagram, ConmanJFO, even though I don't use Instagram all too much. I co-host also over at For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation. We're going through the shows right now. We just wrapped up our Clone Wars season 1 analysis recap. I don't know what the heck to call it. I can't think of those types of words right now. I wasn't on for it, but Andrew and Don got to talk about the Ryloth arc, which is one of my favorite all-time arcs of Clone Wars.
God, Ryloth fucking rules.
It's so good. Where else? Oh, like Jared said, you can find me on Epic Confrontations. I co-host and I write questions. It's really fun. I love it. You can find those. You can find all of our past matches and any future and upcoming matches. That's the same thing. I just realized. Over at the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel. And then you can find me kind of sort of because like I don't have anything published yet story-wise, but like you can find me over at sweditorig.com/fiction. I help develop Star Wars fan stories. We have about 19, I want to say. Yeah, like 19 on the website. I don't have any published yet. I do have a few in development, all involving Cal Kestis, who is one of my favorite Jedi. Dog. He does. He does have that dog in him. And he's definitely going to really have that dog in him come Survivor.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
I can't wait.
So, yeah. I have some stories coming out with him. I have one coming out probably this month, probably next month. I don't really know. So.
Sweet. Go
Jared.
find Connor and everything he does over there.
Where can everyone find you, Jared?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. Like I said, Epic Confrontations, Ionized Bastards on the All Remaining Systems YouTube channel. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd. And to Paco, or as he's going by on the Patreon, $1.5 billion, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Jared, full screen me real quick. No.
It's just so perfectly hidden right at the end of the episode. Speaking of our patrons,
That was
like
not
I
one
said,
of my better no's, but whatever.
that was a fantastic no. Don't you say that.
I felt like the one I did before was just, I don't know, it just sounded better.
Well, none of them, I mean, all of them are second to this one.
Congratulations on making it into the program.
Thank you.
Have you been in Coruscant long?
No.
Well, I think you'll find it a very...
So fucking funny.
It's amazing.
Speaking of our patrons, on the Patreon, like I said, for $5, you guys get just about 30 bonus episodes of our Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series, where we take two Force-sensitive lightsaber wielders, Jedi, Sith, Dark Jedi, anything in between, and pit them against each other. The matchups we had for so far this year have been Lord Starkiller versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, circa the Siege of Mandalore versus Qui-Gon Jinn, and this month's Exar Kun versus Mace Windu. Next month is going to be Reva versus Kanan Jarrus, so stay tuned for all of that. Very excited to get some more out to you guys. Very proud of the Versus series up to this point. And like I said, it's like 30 bonus episodes for $5 a month. We very much appreciate all of your support. Means the world. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching and listening. We are honored that you have joined us, and may the Force be with you always.
Stop!
cookie jar.